Just wanted to talk, that's all.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, and welcome to my guest tonight, my friend and fellow Yankee fan, Ray Fonseca. You might know him from, what was it, One Life to Live, or My Super Ex-Girlfriend, or you were just telling me you were in some alien movie, too. What's the alien movie that you were in?
It's called Lights.
Lights?
Lights,
Lights. So
I was only in it for 2 minutes because I wrote it and I produced it, but we did it non-union at the time. So I had to be like in the background, like nobody see. I don't want to get kicked out of the. But I was just like, I got to appear in my own movie. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, well, the probing scene only takes 2 minutes, so
we have one of those actually. We have one of those. The guy that made our Alien was the guy that did like 300. Like the big monster with the one eye, and so the same guy that made it. And I remember going in his garage, and it's like all this stuff's just laying around. I'm like, oh shit, dude, you made the level thing from Legend with Tom Cruise. He's like, yep. I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
Nice,
really
nice.
Cool. But yep, Fergie, kids here, arriving in Boston tonight.
4 games in a row if we win tonight. I'm feeling not so great about it because we got to Crochet last time, but he typically doesn't have 2 stinkers in a row, and Yarbrough got shellacked by the Red Sox last time out. He gave up 8 runs in 4 innings. They were all over him. In general tonight, I'm not in love with the lineup. We'll talk about it in a minute, but I got to say, I'm just not feeling great about tonight. I am anxious to see Roman Anthony tonight, one of the top prospects in baseball. Hit a 500-foot home run last week in the minor leagues, but hitting .083 since he came up to the major leagues. We've got Dominguez back in the lineup. Jazz is out of the lineup, and no Giancarlo Stanton tonight. Were you hoping to see Big G tonight?
I was, and you know what? Derek, I'll tell you why. And it's because of the way I feel that they're front loading the lineup too often on a daily basis, right? Like when we signed Goldschmidt, we weren't like, great, now we have our leadoff man. You know, the guy's batting .342, and it's like, that's great, but if he's 38. And he's a perennial MVP candidate, RBI machine, you're batting him leadoff. And it's like, okay, then after Judge, we kind of are a mix of 200 to 190 hitters for the next 5 spots in the order on most nights, which I feel like kills rallies, right? Because it can easily be 2, 1, 2, 3 innings, and we're back on the field, and it's hard to keep momentum that way, I think.
And I'll point out, he's not hitting .342 anymore. It's kind of gone unnoticed because the Yankees keep winning, but he's down to .313. He has dropped. He got a big hit last night, so I've never loved Goldschmidt in the leadoff spot. You and I talk about this privately all the time. They haven't tried Volpe in the leadoff spot this year. I would love to see him get some opportunities up there. I think he has patient at bats. He's got the speed. That would allow you to go righty, lefty, righty tonight. Righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty. I mean, you could if you wanted. Even DJ LeMahieu been swinging the bat pretty well. I wouldn't mind him in the leadoff spot with Goldschmidt in more of a, especially in Fenway. Don't you want Goldschmidt like in a run-producing spot in Fenway? And we all know against power pitchers, you got to get them early, right? I mean, let's get some guys in the 3, 4, 5 spot that are righty power hitters.
Exactly, and I almost kind of feel like why did you get Goldschmidt besides the defense, right? Why'd you get him? Because that's an MVP former winner. That's a vet bat, a tough out. So why wouldn't you put him after Judge, protecting Judge? And that's why I'm glad. I was hoping Stanton would be back, because at the very least it gives us that extra bat that you can't necessarily pitch around Judge or like plan ahead, and I feel like the thing about this is like, listen, fellow Yankee fans, let me just make this clear right now. I'm very happy with how we're playing right now, record-wise. I like the lead that we have. I like the standing situation. I like how ass and boo-boo the rest of our division seems to be right now. Kind of, sugarcoats our own flaws at times where we can kind of get by having Pablo Reyes, Escara, Peraza all on the same team at the same time, and last night in the same lineup. But my point is that, man, I want to see a lineup that does not change except for the extreme places in the order, okay? And I kind of look back, right? And it's like, you can't look at Boone because it's like someone with 80, no, let's do it this way. No, let's do it that way. Maybe try this. And it's just like, all right, guess what? Every time we've seen the Dodgers, whether we throw a lefty, whether there's a lefty in the bullpen, it doesn't matter. Ohtani leads off. Freeman's batting third. Muncie's batting fifth. They're coming for you, man. They're coming for you, and their hitters do that, and that's why they don't flinch in those type, because they know, all right, lefty on lefty, so what? Otani do? He hit 2 jacks off of Fried, who's like, just because they're not thinking, oh, lefty matchup. No, they're just see ball, hit ball, and just pound on people like that. And I feel like we don't have that. So then what happens is when we get to the playoffs, like I feel like we're in Rocky 3. You know what I mean? Like we're just, Mickey's setting us up with a bunch of bums and we're knocking them down thinking that we're all good and there's no problems in Rocky World, right? But then we get to Clubber Lang, and that's what the Dodgers were last year, like a buzzsaw. It wasn't that they were that much better than us. They just kept playing consistent good baseball and waited for us to not. And that's because, it's who's going to bat leadoff? It's like you can plan ahead how to fuck with Aaron Boone's head. Game plan. Right? Like, okay, we're going to throw a lefty. He's going to change the whole lineup. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's silly to me. Like, I really don't like it. And that's why I hope Stanton's back, because then I know it's Judge Stanton in the middle and he doesn't deviate from at least that. So at least that stays consistent.
Well, let's go to the lineup tonight. Let's take a look at what we got here. So we got Goldschmidt leading off, as we just mentioned, and then Ben Rice batting second. And you brought up a stat before we got started. He's hitting about 180 versus lefties and hitting second in the order against the toughest lefty in the game.
He's batting 180 with a 236 on-base percentage against left-handed pitching this season. And Dominguez, ironically enough, is batting 180 with a 282 on-base percentage this year against left-handed pitching. Like Ben Rice has played, I think it was something like 38 games against left-handed pitching this year.
Wow.
Right. I love the guy. I appreciate how excellent he's started the year, and that he's kind of dipped a little bit average-wise, but he's a tough at bat. Always barrels the ball, like you were saying, last night. Like he's a hitter. He's a ball player. I like him a lot. But at the same time, he's another guy that would look great in the 6-hole right behind Stanton or Judge or or Goldschmidt in that 4, 5, 6 slot, and give me, like I said, Volpe. Was it 26 doubles?
Yeah, he got 21, right? I think. Mason. Yeah,
he's got an OPS like 986 in the last month. Like he's okay. Put him in the leadoff spot. Why? Because he's supposed to. He's the kind of guy that's supposed to be there, first to third, score from first, that kind of stuff. Goldschmidt's not that guy, and what's going to happen is you're going to end up getting this guy hurt, putting him in the leadoff spot, being on base when Judge rips a double and he's trying to score, or alternatively, we won't end up scoring because he won't make it all the way around the way Volpe would or one of those guys would.
I don't know if I agree there. I think, I mean, he seems to run the bases pretty well. He seems pretty flexible. But yeah, let's continue with the lineup here. We got Judge batting third, obviously back in the lineup, playing right field, hitting third. Bellinger in center field, hitting fourth. Volpe at shortstop. Did you catch that play he made last night? That little backhand Jeter-esque play against the slowest runner in baseball that everybody was like, going crazy. It kind of
reminded me of like in your backyard with your friends going, and Jeter does his turns. Like, he was goofing around because it's like, man, he could have rolled the ball and beat the rest of the ball. But still, I like the kid. I trust him. I trust him to give me his best effort, and that's more than I could say for 100%. Most pros. So for that, you can play for my team any day.
Dominguez batting sixth. I love Dominguez. I think he's going to be an MVP someday. Don't love him in the lineup tonight against Crochet. I thought he was overmatched against Crochet. He got a couple of hits earlier this week against lefties, but they were bloops. He did hit one hard, but then he had a couple of hard outs. So I mean, maybe he's coming around. Maybe the second look he'll do better. That might be something the Yankees are just interested in seeing. Hey, how does this kid improve start over start, like 1 week apart against the same dominant pitcher? Maybe that's just something that they want to find out, right? Let's find out if he's getting better, And
that was one of the main things I wanted to discuss with you about him specifically. I just, I wrote some notes down. I was just like, give the kid a chance to build on his good performances and then also learn from the mistakes he makes, but still be in the lineup to, counter that with some more good stuff, And when you're not going to play him, he better be the first guy you put in a pinch run or the first guy you put in a pinch hit. Why? Because I want him to get used to doing all of these things, even if it's in piecemeal. Like, get used to that because, when it comes to October, we're going to want this. I don't want a Verdugo situation. Well, we got to go with the defense and the guys hitting dribblers down the line the whole season. Like, give me the guys that are going to be the toughest outs for the other team to get on us, because when we do that, we really pound the shit out of people sometimes. And then the next night they do it to us. And I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, how could you be so good one night and so bad the next night? And it just seems like it's nothing. And I think that shit's going to add up and shock the shit out of us right on the chin come in October if they don't make some moves, because it's like Tiger Woods saying, no, I'm good enough at golf. Yeah, I don't need to practice. So I'm good where I'm at.
You know what I mean? It's like, no, you're talking about practice.
Right. The Dodgers won the World Series and added what? Like $1 billion to the payroll. Like, you're never perfect. Yeah. You're always going to need more. You're always going to need help.
That's a point. So that's the thing that I think Yankees fans miss most about George Steinbrenner as opposed to Hal Steinbrenner. Yeah, Hal Steinbrenner spends, but George wouldn't stop spending. There's a difference, right? You can you can buy an expensive car, which is what Hal has done, or you can buy an expensive car and keep adding like rims and adding like seat covers and adding, you know what I mean? Like, exactly, nitrous. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Like,
so that's
imagine
a difference.
having 5 potential Hall of Famers, like 4 guaranteed Hall of Famers on the same team, and then add Cecil Fielder and add David Justice and add this guy and that guy. And it's like, are you insane? Like, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, right? Look at the Dodgers. But they basically, let's just say, they dog walked us a little bit, right, when we played them last, and they had $1.6 billion on the DL. Like, could you imagine that? And that's just depth. It's I don't look at it like overkill or like, gluttonous, like, we don't care about the money. It's no. If guys are going to get hurt more and more often as well, then you know what? I don't want Pablo Reyes as my alternative when somebody goes down. I want a Justin Turner or a this guy or that guy or a Brian Reynolds or, anybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, just not guys that don't belong in the pros.
Yeah. Well, we got to finish the lineup here. We got Wells, who I thought swung the bat really well in KC, and I think he did well against Crochet last time out, right? He hit a home run. It was a kind of a hanging breaking ball, but still home run. And then Peraza, let's just face it, he's going 0 for 4 tonight. So that's the lineup for you tonight. Let's talk about Aaron Boone, because I know you're going to have some
there in front of us.
Some feelings on him. I would say that aside from Simon Rosenthal, who calls in occasionally, you might dislike Aaron Boone more than anybody I know. But this is year 8. He has taken us to the playoffs a bunch of times. I think he's an okay manager. I don't hate Aaron Boone. I fire him a couple of times a year on the podcast, obviously. But I agree with you that the lineup decisions are strange, and I would prefer some consistency in the lineup too. And maybe when Stanton comes back and he's the DH every day, maybe it does get more consistent. But I feel like we need a consistent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at least, right? I can live with 6 through 9 being a little interchangeable, but give me a leadoff guy every day. I mean, even if it's Rice in the second hole against lefties, I don't care. Like, let him, I feel like he'll hit. Like, I want some left-handed power in the top third of the order, sure. So if you're going to go with Volpe or or even Goldschmidt, even though we're not a fan of that, or LeMahieu or whoever at the top of the order, I still like righty lefty. Bellinger, I like him in the 4 spot where he is tonight, just because it does allow you to kind of go righty lefty, and then
I'm not
righty.
Sure what Bellinger's numbers are against lefties in the last, like, how it's changed over the last week or so. But I remember checking a week or two ago, and he's batting like 318 versus lefties or 308 versus lefties this year. And I'm like, I don't understand. He's not hitting for great power this year, but he's hitting. He's getting good hits. He's just a damn good ball player, man. He's never going to hurt you. I don't think he's hurt us one time this year. Even if he hasn't hit, he made a play. He's always does something to help the game go along. I feel like he could even be a leadoff candidate for me. That makes sense because he can run. He's not an easy out. It's something like that. But I really feel like the thing about Boone that bothers me that there's it almost seems like it doesn't matter. There are no stakes to the game, no matter what the game is. He's just going to, okay, this should be this should be that, this should be this, and let's roll the dice and see how this goes. Where it's like when we're playing the Dodgers and like, should we throw Rodon on Sunday? Yes. You know why?
Exactly.
Because I want to punch you in the mouth so that October comes, my team remembers that you don't own it. We can fight you.
To be fair, they won that game. They won that game with Yarbrough. To be fair. I agree with the mentality. The mentality is sometimes it's different than the results, right? I mean, I agree with you. He doesn't go for the kill for a lot. And how many times did we see a couple of years ago, and to the point where he had to get away from this, the Yankees would win the first 2 games of the series, and then they would punt game 3. They punt game 3 almost every week, almost every Sunday. When you got kids in the ballpark, you're putting nobody's out there, right? And it was, oh God, it was awful. But yeah, I agree with you. More urgency.
You said we've made the playoffs all these years, right, with him, right? How many of those years do we have home field advantage throughout the playoffs?
That's a good point, and that's because of the lack of urgency.
Punting games, and maybe we'll have a 5-game lead, and now it would have been, game 1 and game 2 in the Bronx and not in LA or all the times with Houston. What happened? They had home field advantage. And why? And it was only a matter of like 5 or 6 games. And what were you doing? Punting every chance you get. Like, I want to give this guy a rest. It's like, no, man. I don't remember. Do you ever remember a time where did it matter who we were facing? It was, let's say Jeter in the leadoff spot or Jeter in the knob block Jeter. O'Neill, Williams, Posada. It didn't matter if Jesus came off the cross and was throwing with both arms. That was the lineup. There was no like,
Yeah.
oh, what do we do now? And that's my point. And I look at it like, today Grisham's a leadoff, and then he's batting fifth. I was looking at those numbers. He's batting 393 in the 9-hole this year.
Yeah. And,
Right?
and what's he hitting
that's
leadoff? What's he hitting out of leadoff? And especially what's he hitting out of leadoff the last month? Like we were talking about this in the quote unquote green room, to borrow an acting parlance. Yeah, he has really, really regressed offensively. I mean, he still picks up his hits, but he was out of his mind on fire, and now he's still hitting leadoff even though he's cooled off. And you compared him to Aaron Hicks, which I thought was a great comparison to like just kind of how he kept getting at bats when how he kept getting at bats even though like the production had fallen off. Now we just got done saying, well, we want the same lineup every day, but to be fair, Grisham was never required to be our leadoff man, right? He hit his way into that role. And he doesn't play every day. I want a consistent 1 through 5 that play 150 games together, right? That's the ideal scenario. And part of that's on Cashman for, not arranging the team that way. But I feel like you've got a tailor-made, like the people who play every day should be in the same spots. Like Volpe, that's kind of why I want him at the top of the lineup, because he's in there every single day, no matter what. Right. And he's got speed. And I think that if he learns how to be a leadoff hitter, he could be a good one.
And how would he go about doing that, Derek? By batting leadoff a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Experience.
Here's what I don't understand. So you have Goldschmidt leading off, and then you have the kid that you don't trust to lead off batting fifth. Almost every game, he's batting fifth tonight. And it's like, okay, well, wait a second, right? Like, well, why is he batting fifth and not seventh or this or that thing? Well, he has good numbers against lefties. Okay, great. Then why isn't he leading off? Because here's the thing. I hate when Boone is like, why do you bat Rice leadoff? Like, you realize that we have a 38-year-old first baseman who's batting leadoff most times out of anybody on the team this year, and then the other two next in line are two left-handed catchers that run with grand pianos in their back pocket. Okay, and what's the reason for it? When they ask him, well, why? Because he rakes. Great. You know where that should be? To drive guys in, because guess what? If you have two guys that run like dump trucks in front of Judge, he's not always. They set up the lineup as if. For when Judge hits a homer, and not what if he hits a single and a double and this? How do you create runs that way? And I think that's the thing about it, where it's like I want the lineup to be the same, just so that guys, it's not a different mentality. You're not thinking about where I'm batting today and what my job and how it changes. You're thinking just about who am I playing today? All right, let's get after it, boys. Right? Like, yeah, I know. Because 2-hole hitter. He's got a guy that's on pace to hit 27 home runs or something like that. You're saying like Rice is on pace to hit 26 home runs and like 80 RBIs, right?
Slide a little over so we can see your face, man. Hit your mark, actor man. Hit your mark. All right, we're gonna talk trades real quick, because this is one thing that we talk about a lot is I don't know who that guy is this year. Most years it's pretty clear, right? Even when it doesn't work out, it was Frankie Montas, it was Sonny Gray, it was Joey Gallo. Like there was somebody that the Yankees were clearly interested in. I don't know that there's a guy this year that they're necessarily locked in on. I mean, I've heard Merrill Kelly's name thrown out there. I mean, you still hear names I think so too. I mean, I would love to stack him in our rotation in between Fried and Rodon. I mean, how nasty would that 1-2-3 be? And then Luis Gil is a number 4, and that allows you to put Clark Schmidt and Will Warren in the bullpen to stretch it out in case you have a blowout in the playoffs or something like that, or in case you need like extra innings, you can go to Clark Schmidt. I mean.
Yeah, I actually feel like those two guys might have to leave town in any trades that we make that are going to be of some sort of
it's possible.
Substance.
I think Warren could be dealt.
They're both young. They're both controllable. You see the potential there, but at the same time, it taxes our bullpen that much more, especially the way Boone, is driving, is just kind of like throwing darts with the bullpen most nights. That if you have guys that are back-to-back starts that throw 5 innings on average only, then, okay, that's, it's basically half the game, is going to that bullpen. And when Yarbrough is in the rotation, he can't be your long man like a Ramiro Mendoza used to be. So I feel like, one thing leads to the other. And I'd really like to see Merrill Kelly. I'd like to see, he's 35 years old, expiring contract. Right?
Exactly.
So what I'd like to see them do is start trying to make moves now, not at the deadline when other teams that are just like, hey, they're like, screw it. Here's our 3 top prospects. Right, just for like what they did for Tanner Scott, right? The Padres gave 3 of their top 10 prospects for Tanner Scott, and then he went to the Dodgers in the offseason. I don't want us to do that just to get a guy. So I feel like if you do it earlier, you can kind of get away with, being first in. And even if you have to bid against yourself, David Bednar, great call. He's on my list too. That's a guy I feel like that we could sort of rehash, you know what I mean? Like fix him a little bit because he's had some struggles, but power right arm. We need power. I need to get rid of the guys like Ian Hamilton and, guys like that are just like, he was great when he first got here. And it was kind of like, you almost looked at it like, how come nobody wanted this guy? He seems great. And then it's like, now I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, these are guys that you can't, if you're going to do, this guy pitched this day, so we can't use him this day. It's like, hey man, then the playoffs come, we use them every day, and waste them out. So it's like, let's just win the games we can win. And I feel like the dominant bullpen is probably where we need to focus on for the playoffs, for the trade.
Yeah.
Because,
and I can't argue with getting another starting pitcher either. Like, I think pitching is going to be where it's at. The Yankees offense, as much as we like to crap on it, is generally pretty good. If not like a little bit jumbled. I think they're going to score runs, and pitching is at such a premium in the playoffs, right? I mean, last year you could argue the Yankees, a large reason why they got to the playoffs or got to the World Series was because their starting pitching was healthier than everybody else. But Merrill Kelly, 6-2 with a 3.18 ERA. I mean, we looked at Mason Miller.
He was hurt last year, I think, Merrill Kelly. So like, he was just like I don't think he had Tommy John. He's like 35 years old. He's 36 years old. And, he's got a devastating curveball. He's still throwing in the mid-90s, and he's a veteran, just a guy that can give you 6 or 7 innings. Go get it. Get after it. And even if he's not the guy that's going to give us 6 innings in the playoffs, let's face it, most starters don't go 6 innings in the playoffs. It becomes a chess match after like the 4th or 5th inning. So, but for the rest of the season, I think that helps keep a little energy in the tank for our pen by having some guys that, can go a little extra distance. I'm also really looking at guys like Reed Detmers on the Angels, who's went from a starter to a reliever, and he's shoving right now, like lefties, righties, like he's looking great, and I think that'd be cool because
it's a high ERA, but the metrics look really good. That's a really nice call. That seems like a Cashman move. Like he's only 25 years old. He's been a starter in the past, but he's a reliever now. 29 in a third innings, 37 strikeouts, so he can miss bats, but also a whip of 1.53. You look at the walk percentage; it's in the bottom third of the league, but he gets misses.
I think a lot of that has to do with he started the year as a starter, and then they transitioned into the pen. So that's not really his reliever numbers. That's kind of his all-encompassing numbers. So I don't know how much that.
Well, he hasn't started. He hasn't made a start this year. It might have been spring training or whatever. He hasn't made a start this year. No game started.
I also think like another guy. I'm not sure if they'd be willing to trade him or not, but Matt Brash on the Mariners. When we played the Mariners, like he made us look foolish. I forget who it was. I think it was Volpe. The pitch was like 10 inches off the plate, and he tricked him and got him to swing in. And he's always been a good guy, but he's kept getting hurt. And I feel like that's always hurt the Mariners. Is that Brash and Munoz? One of them is always having arm trouble, and they never have them going into the playoffs. Both of them, but together, those guys are lights out. And I feel like Munoz is only 26 years old. You're probably not going to get him in a trade, nor would you want to do that because you have Weaver, and he's a free agent. You're going to re-sign him, obviously. He's our guy, clearly.
Yeah.
But a guy like Brash, throwing mid to high 90s, throws nasty. And I might be crazy here, but I think if you're going to check in on people, check in on Kenley Jansen.
It's an interesting idea. All right, we're going to get a quick word from our
figure. Cutter's great in Yankee Stadium. It's it's better than.
I think he wants to keep playing out west though. He likes it out west. He's a West Coast guy, but we'll see. I mean, maybe come east for the playoffs. We're gonna get a quick word from our Yeah, go ahead.
Carlos LaGrange. Go ahead.
Lagrange, I found out it's called Lagrange. A Jabba Chamberlain move. Yeah, I like that idea. Let's talk about that.
To me.
Let's talk about that after the ad from Harry's, and we'll talk about internal solutions. In baseball, as in life, it's all about having that extra edge, that little extra half second of a swing, the late break on a slider, or the grit to outlast your opponent on a hot afternoon. Same goes for shaving. Harry's gives you the edge where it counts. I tried the $5 trial set, and honestly, it's like the ace of my bathroom rotation. The handle's weighted just right, the razor is smooth, and the foaming shave gel lathers better than anything I have used before. I keep my beard tight around the jawline, clean edges, no irritation. Harry's handles it with ease. Even the packaging is big league, and their body wash, I've got the redwood scent. It's like a fresh cut field on opening day. Get the edge on your shave with Harry's razors. Normally their trial set is $10, but right now you can get it for just $5 at harrys.com/stripe. That's harrys.com/stripe for a $5 trial set. We got a comment here from Joanne who says that, bro, the Mariners aren't moving Munoz anywhere. We know that, but that's part of the fun of the trade deadline. It's just
No, that's
talking
why I want
about.
Brash. I said they
Yeah.
won't move Munoz. That's why
Yeah.
Brash might be available because he's a free
Right.
agent to be, and the other guy's 26.
Yeah. So it's fun to throw names out there. I mean, I see people talking about Paul Skeens. Let's be honest. Paul Skeens is going nowhere. The Pirates just aren't going to they're not going to trade somebody who brings kids to the ballpark, even though he doesn't fill the stadium. Like, he gets young fans excited to watch him,
Sure.
and he's like the face of their franchise. I think they'll move him before he becomes a free agent for sure, but they're not going to move him
Yeah, of
with
course
4 years of control. No.
Yeah, no, they're going to milk some early jersey sales and then
Exactly.
whatever
Exactly.
tickets they can get, and then the second it's the second it's worth it to them. And but it's funny, I could see a team like the Dodgers just coming in and going, "Here's 5 dudes, here, take them." Why?
Yeah.
Because we have Hee-Sung Kim on the bench that is like hitting 400. Yeah, he plays once a week. Our guys that play once a week, used to drive Uber. You know what I mean? It's I don't understand how that happens. Like, don't get me wrong.
Hey, I used to drive Uber.
We all did when it started, and you realize you don't want strangers in your back seat, hammered. And it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. But
Did I ever tell you my
like
Uber vomit story? I got to tell you this. So someone in my back seat opened up that little, like, it's like for maps and stuff, that little pocket that they put behind. Someone pulled that open and puked in it like a vomit bag, and
closed it.
And just fucking, I heard it, and then I hear, they pushed it closed, and they're like, "Can you stop the car?" And I was like, "The time to tell me to stop the car was before you yacked in my freaking seat." And I eventually had to sell the car. It smelled so bad. Same thing happened to my dad. Somebody puked in his like air conditioning manifold one day. Like, he picked somebody up to go to work, like carpool or something, and the guy was like hungover from the night before and puked in the manifold. And he said every time he turned on the air conditioner, it like came on for years. Yeah, vomit's the worst. Anyway, but you were saying,
don't get me wrong. Escar is the kind of guy that I'm not mad he's on the team. I know that the plane rides are great when he's on the team. The bus rides are probably great. The locker room, all that stuff's probably great because he's that kind of guy that you like. He kind of reminds me of like, a guy like a Swisher or something like that. Just the guy that's, happy-go-lucky, fun to be around, happy to be here, right? But at the same time, they just got rid of Narvaez. They got rid of Augustin Ramirez. Like, these are like superior players, right? The other guy, Jesus Rodriguez, that's supposed to be, again, it's always, this guy's actually the best catcher in our whole system. Cool, let's trade him and then, sit there and go. I think Ben Rice should be getting more bats at catcher. Escara should be, sorry, man. Like, just go back to the minors. We'll call you back up if we need you. But
exactly.
Right now we need to see the Goon Squad, right? We need to see how it looks, how it plays out.
Here's the problem.
What moves to make.
If you send down Escara, Rice can't get the requisite at bats that he needs, because you can't have both of those, Rice and Wells, in the lineup like at the same time. You got to have one backup catcher. So I think they're going to carry 3 catchers, with one of them being Rice, and then Rice is going to be moved around. Like, he's going to get some time at DH. He's going to get some time at first base. They might even try him in the outfield once or twice. I can see him trying him at third base.
In AAA.
Yeah, he's going to pinch.
AAA.
Yeah, he's going to pinch hit. He's going to get at bats, but again, he needs a consistent position. Hopefully next year he'll be our first baseman. But any final thoughts before we kick off this? Really, yeah, sure.
Who do you think? Who's place does Stanton take when he comes back? Who's gone? Is it Reyes?
Reyes, yeah. I think they're gonna just DFA him. I mean, why keep? What does he add? Like, last night he had his best game, and it was because he fell down like an idiot running from third to home and caused the guy to rush the throw.
Well, he's just one of those guys that if they didn't send him down or nothing, but he just stopped showing up, like Office Space, like no one would notice. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, hey, Reyes, where is that guy? I haven't seen him in a while. Like no one noticed. Like, he's not an infielder. He's not a good outfielder. He had a good spring training, but so did Spencer Jones, and we haven't seen him. You know what I mean? If that's the metric, you got to do some good spring training, and you can sit the bench. Like, all right.
Well, Spencer Jones continues to struggle with the strikeouts at Double-A. I'm not sure he's ever going to really be a major leaguer.
Well, that's the thing. He's 25 years old, right?
He's 24. He's 24.
Okay, so Judge came up when he was 26. Now, I'm not trying to do that automatic.
No.
They're the same
when
size
Judge
comparison.
Judge came up when he was 24. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like for the first cup of coffee or whatever, and then the next season was his legit rookie year. For that reason, okay, well, if Grisham is starting over Dominguez in most cases and doing all this, it's like, okay, he's a free agent at the end of the year. That's when I bring up the Aaron Hicks thing. You're going to give a guy a 7-year deal again because he's good on defense? Again, you know what I mean? And then you have to justify the contract of the plane. So I'm looking at it like, okay, if Jones is never going to realistically play, then you know what? Then he's got to be a part of a deal with Clark Schmidt or somebody that isn't more enticing. And, like, is Arias ever going to play? Because we have Jazz now, and then we're going to have
Arias can't hit. Arias is hitting like 180 in the minor league. He can't hit at all. Like, he cannot hit at all, Ray.
Here's the thing. They said the same thing about Jorge Mateo. And while he's not
and Jorge Mateo can't hit. He can't.
But at the same time, he'll bat 240 and steal 30, 40 bags. You know what I mean? He's not a bum, is my point. You know what I mean? Where it's like
he's hitting 180 with a negative WAR, Ray. He's hitting 180.
Well, when he was at Oakland, and so like not this year, but I mean when he came out of our system, I'm saying I look at it like, man, like we have guys that we should just get rid of, because if we're not going to let them play, then it's almost dead weight to keep them in the minors and not trade them. And as much as I'm always saying, let the kids play, it's coming abundantly clear that when you look at the roster structure, the payroll, and the contracts, lengths, there's no place for them to play. So get rid of them and maybe let's win. You know what I mean? It's a thing. It's like that roll the dice crapshoot thing. They're doing just enough to keep getting to the playoffs, and all they have to do is make this move or that move. That's not that big of a deal. And man, we could start with the overkill and like have, some weapons in the thing, and not have it be like, oh, it's game 7, the lefty's pitching. Oh, well, then I guess our lineup's going to be this, and this just because. It's like, no, man, like put out your best every damn day. And I feel like that's the thing. Make statements. I don't care if it's April. I don't care if it's June. You only play the Dodgers a couple of times. You only play the Mets a couple of times. You only play Boston, maybe more than them, the other two teams, but less so than before, right? With playing the National League way more. Okay, I want them to remember how we kicked their ass and didn't let up in April, in September. Why? Because we know it, they know it, and then you're not going, well, we better do we need this, we need that. No, you know what? You need a lot more than just adding a couple of players. If you're punting games against rivals that matter on national television, like, man, that's how I know it's on autopilot. That's why I'm not a fan of Boone. I'm sure he's a great guy. You know what I mean? Hey, you know what? There's a lot. The world needs plenty of bartenders. All right.
Yeah.
I don't need I don't need his judgment. And I feel like we get by on a lot on talent alone. And you see when Judge is in the lineup last night, I was like, man, something going to drop in. Somebody get something going. Somebody get steal a base. It's like baseball seems to stop because they design everything around Judge's potential and his projections. When it's like, yeah, who batted third last night?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I forgot what I had for breakfast, Ray. Speaking of eating, I got to have some dinner here before the game starts. I got a buddy joining me, and then I got to build for the show. We got TK coming on tonight. But thanks so much, TK from LA, out there with you. He's stealing roles from you, man. He's the younger version of you. It's like when OJ's wife started dating Marcus Allen.
I don't think we're going out for the same parts, man. I'm comfortable with it. Last thing, what's your prediction for tonight, score wise?
I'm gonna say 7-1 Red Sox.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm predicting a good old fashioned passionate ass whooping.
Ooh, my
I'm
God.
not feeling good. Okay. I'm not feeling good about it. Yarbrough got roughed up last time against the Red Sox, and Crochet, he's not going to be that bad again. So yeah, I think tonight's going to be Red Sox night, but I still think the Yankees can win the next two. So, Yanks going for 4 straight. Well, let's hope I'm wrong. Ray, thanks so much. Where can people find you?
I'd rather lose game 1 than win games 1 and 2 and punt game 3 and sort of like allow ourselves to lose it, right? If you're going to lose, just lose because you lost, and then, try to win the next 2 games. I'm okay with that.
Where can people find you, Ray? Where can they check out?
Burrow Kid Ray on Instagram, and probably waiting online at Uncle Paulie's somewhere, getting a bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll, salt, ketchup, light and sweet coffee. And yeah,
appreciate it.
I'll be back. I'm coming back, man. I'll be back.
We'll have you back on. All right, guys. We'll catch you after the game tonight. Go Yanks. Hopefully I'm wrong. We'll catch you next time.
All right. Buck Foston.
If you made it this far, do us a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and join our community. You can also be a part of the show by calling in at 718-899-1068. Also, part of the way that we maintain and fund all of this is through nydesigns.shop. Check it out now. Get all sorts of fun Yankees merch, hats, hoodies, zip-ups, beanies, mugs, you name it. We've got it. Check it out, nydesigns.shop. And check out Pinstripe Territory on all your favorite podcast platforms. We are the official Yankees podcast of the Foul Territory Network. We're here for post-game shows after every single game, and we're here before a lot of games to talk about the game, preview the lineup, the pitching matchups, and things like that. And we're here all off-season to talk about the latest in Yankees rumors, news, etc. Join our community. We'll see you next time.